Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and it's a delight to have you here with us. And today, we are going to be talking about getting to know you, getting to know ourselves. That sometimes we think we know ourselves, and then we find out and say, "Well, where'd that come from? I didn't really know me as well as I thought I did." So Shakespeare had, in one of his plays, he put to thine own self be true. And then it followed after that, as surely as night follows day, thou canst not be false with any other man. But today we're just going to talk primarily about getting true to ourselves. And Coach John Wooden, who was the winningest basketball coach ever, said, if you are true to yourself, you can be at ease in any situation. And that is what today's topic is pretty much about. It's about knowing how to be at ease in almost any situation. And that in looking, we looked a little bit at this last week, and we'll look at it again today, that in being who we are, we have such a large spectrum of everything. And our makeup, we have so much division within us, that's not a bad thing. I mean, we just have different gifts and talents, and we're just made up of all kinds of things, cultures and everything that is just so different. There's not any cookie cutter images on planet Earth. We're all unique and special and different. And so in those spectrums, how do we handle the problems of life? How do we deal with the people that we are encountered with? What is our pace? Is it fast or slow? What is our processing? Do we need to go really deep, 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 or can we just skim off the top and we're ready to go? You know, what's our energy like? Our moods, our predictability, our moods on there again. The decisions that we make, how quickly do we come to a decision, or does it take us forever and a lot of pondering and thinking through and maybe even research before we can make a decision? And how sensitive are we? Not only sensitive as into being put down, but sensitive as in to the light or to some fragrance of some kind. And then our intensity, how intense are we? Not only in maybe anger or speaking, but how intense are we in our joy, in our love? You know, how intense are we? So I thought we would talk today about the Johari window. This is a concept that was developed back in 1969 by two psychologists, Joseph Luft and Harry Ingram, and they put their names together and came up with Johari for this to be a window, and it was to look at a person's total being, and that the conscious and the unconscious, our knowing and our not knowing, that our intuition, to looking at our awareness and our unawareness, what we are blind to, what we are open to, what we are deceived by, what we believe, what we, all these kinds of things. So I'm going to put this back down because I'm going to stop sharing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to expand on, I hope you can still see that in one of the windows. I guess I can't have it in a window. Anyway, I hope you can remember enough about that little graphic, because I want to show you how I like to look at it. And that is that this upper part right here, this is you. Okay, first of all, these four squares represent our life. Let me get me. Okay. This represents, all four of those squares represents our entire life. Okay. Maybe if I stand up. Okay, maybe so. Maybe so, maybe so. I'll stand up and come right here in front. Okay, so these four windows represent all of us, our whole entire life. This over here, imagine that these dark circles are walls, like concrete walls that you cannot see through. But these broken windows, or broken, where they're just, it's like a big plate glass window. So here you are, here you, okay. And over here is others walking down the sidewalk, and they can look in and see through your windows, okay? And, okay, I'm going back to sharing so you can actually look at it. Okay, so if you can kind of look at both at the same time. So here you are over here on one side in window number one. Window number one is open to me. I know, but it's also open to others. It's the information that we're willing to share. It is maybe, some things. Window number one is it's myself and others can recognize what's going on, what's happening. They can see in window number one, we're open to each other. And we may give information. There's a lot of things that you can, we can just automatically, we read people. And so we can automatically see pretty much if that's male or female, whether or not we are engaging with skin, a different culture, a different whatever. But as we engage with people in that window number one, it's things that we're open about. And as we engage in conversation, they begin to know more about us, like where we came from, what we do for a living, what our family is like. Or we may begin to engage with them about politics or about religion or about books that we've read or various things like that. It's information, it's events that we've been to, and it's things that we're just open about. Whereas window two, there at the top, these are things that are secret. There are things that I know about me, but they're unknown to others. It's the events, it's the actions, and in 12-step groups, they're always telling us that our secrets is our problem. It's in our secrets that we have our addictions, whatever they happen to be. Well, window number three, over here on the left-hand side, where the area of my life that is viewed by others. In window number three, they, whoever they is, these other people, can see things about me that I am blind to. They can see some habits, some attitudes, some actions that I may have that as a matter of fact, if they confront me with it, I may say, well, I most certainly am not like that. That is definitely not me. But window number two is the secrets that we have. And window number four is still all of those things that have happened to us throughout our whole entire lifetime, that it's hidden somewhere in our body. It's part of the not knowing that's still there, whether it's coming through the DNA or through whatever. It's the areas of our life that we're unknown to. And so it's in removing masks and getting real. Can you imagine a world with no mirrors? Well, people are always mirrors reflecting us to us, because the way they respond to us has a very big measure of how we have responded to them, or how we have interacted with them. And we wear masks. And Carl Jung says that if we didn't wear these masks, that we would be too vulnerable. But sometimes we wear too many masks, trying to cover this up and cover that up and cover something else up, that we become very hard and unresponsive. we become one of those very difficult people. As a matter of fact, this is the beginning of a 6-hour workshop that I do on dealing with difficult people, whether you are one or no one, because somewhere in life we all fit in all of those categories of being the difficult person as well as being one that's not so difficult. But we wear those masks, and how we begin to remove those masks and get real as we begin to get honest with ourselves, as we begin to look at ourselves and remember maybe something someone said about us, and oh, maybe I do resemble that remark. That we can get honest with ourselves without sabotaging ourselves. And then another way to remove masks and to get real is to be open to feedback, whether that feedback is kind or unkind. I know I find that family members and some friends can be just real open about pointing out our flaws. But how open are we to receiving the information they want to give us about some of those flaws? That it's arrogance that keeps us in denial and refusing to hear input. So it's not to become defensive or not to become offended. So whatever the feedback is, take it seriously, but not personally. Don't allow it to be something that sticks on there and that really burdens you down. But do take it seriously, because maybe, just maybe, they're telling us the truth that we don't want to hear. And then to remove our mask is by being self-aware and then making some repairs also as we become self-aware. The prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, the reflection, prays, Lord, make me an instrument of peace. And says, where there is hatred, let me give love, show love. Well, there's a whole long string of there. But because we're talking today primarily about masks, I wanted to go with the second part of the reflection of St. Francis. That grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console. May I not seek so much to be understood as to understand. May I not be so needy in being loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And like we started off with getting to know who we are, practice makes permanent. And so as we begin to look at how to remove the mask and begin to practice and see who we are and refine ourselves and repair ourselves so that we can be, we'll still have flaws, they'll still be there, but we can have them repaired where it's more of a scar than a flaw itself. And realizing also that as we do practice that with our spectrum, to take what we're practicing seriously rather than flippantly, to realizing that, yeah, maybe I do need to make a difference in my own life. And so if I can bring this back up again, and aha, this is good. This is what I was going to be talking about to start with, is that all of these walls are things that others cannot see through. That is, we, in window number 1, which says what? Window number 1 says it's open, that it's information, feelings, opinions, information. So that's me and you coming in, but all these other people are engaging with us also, okay? And we're getting to know each other. But over here, these are the secrets that we're not willing to share. I mean, we may be real close to that. I want to share this with someone, but maybe we don't, because what would they think of me? And that's something to think about. We don't want to, you know, always whenever I'm working with clients and they begin to relate too much, I'll say that, let's not use the bomb. You know, I try to work with clients to keep them from using the vomit effect. As in, here's someone I want to just spill everything out, and they'll just throw it all out there. And then they don't want to come back because, hey, you already saw all my messes. So maybe we want to share a secret, but we don't. We want to hold on to it because we don't want them to think badly of us. And so down here is these things that we're blind to. And I need you to know that in all 4 of these quadrants, there are both good and bad. They're both and, okay? They're both and. They're both positive and they're both negative. Whether it's in the things that we're blind to or not, many times, we are blind to gifts and talents that we have been given. We have been given gifts and talents. I know if it had not been someone that saw the ability to teach and to write in me, I'd probably just be, I don't know what I'd be. But it was something, it was a talent, and someone saw it in me because I was blind to it. But as we can, of our own free will, begin to take this wall down, that we're not going to be blind to those feedbacks that others give us. That we're going to say, maybe I really do have that talent. Or maybe we can say, maybe I have been exposing that, but that's really not me. I'm trying to live in someone else's. Anyway, as we begin to be open to the feedback, take it seriously, not personally, but take it personally in a serious way that's going to repair and give growth. And in the process, we also begin to take down this screen over here where we don't have quite so many secrets. We don't have quite so many secrets. And as we begin to work on this, what I see is that we just become so much more open, and just so much more real and so much more genuine and so much more honest. And then what about this over here? This is supposedly the unconscious. Dr. Glasser calls it the creative mind. But it's the mind that we're not that instantly. It's the part of the mind that's regulating the blood pressure and the physiology and all that. But you know what? I like to think of this as being kind of like a tube of toothpaste. And that although we may not be really aware of it, as we begin to change in these areas, to not hold on to so many secrets and to not be so blind to the things we're blind to, that just like a tube of toothpaste, this would begin to roll up. Now on our toothpaste, we use one of those little keys that you stick in there. And it goes all the way across. And then as you roll it up, you roll it up. Well, I think that's what life does with us. As we begin to be open and honest with who we really are, as we begin to appreciate us, because everything that appreciates goes up in value, that these things that may have been hidden, they become little inklings that we give a little flash into, that brings healing, that brings comfort, that brings joy. And so I have another this is what we want in joy in life. And we find that joy by taking care of others before you take care of you. Well, there may be a time, yes, that sometimes we have to take care, like on the airlines, if you're going down and they have those masks that come down, put the mask on you before you put it on someone else to help them. Because if you don't survive, it's going to be pretty hard to help them survive. And so sometimes we go through life because we're so busy trying to find joy in life and do for others, and before we do for us, that we just become all bowed down. Well, here we are. And these are the things in life that come into us. These are strengths and talents and gifts that we have, but we may tap into them some, and some of it comes up, but we listen too much to Mr. and Mrs. Grouch. And sometimes we also listen to Mr. and Ms. Kind, and they're kind, and and we want to please. Oh, just want to please, and we fail to nurture ourselves. And so as we nurture ourselves, and we begin to get, I call, full of it. As we begin to get full of it, then what happens is we begin to spout it out. Like that underground, hidden wealth of who we are, of our strengths, of our gifts, of our talents. And we just begin to let it flow out, and it flows out equally on Mr. and Mrs. Knife, as well as it does on Mr. and Mrs. Grouch. Because we are the ones that have made an effective change in our life. And that sounds a little bit like choice theory, doesn't it? Well, we have shared a little bit today about getting to know who we are. And I thank you for being here, and many blessings.